Ever kind of wonder how those massive buildings go up, like from just an idea to, boom, a skyscraper?
It's pretty amazing when you think about it, right? All the planning and coordination that goes into it.
Totally. And today we're diving into all that, specifically in Australia. We're talking building information modeling, BIM, and how a recent update to their LOD specification is changing the game down under.
And it's not just an Aussie thing. It really reflects a global shift in how we approach construction.
Exactly. We've got a stack of articles here, industry journals, opinions from the people on the ground, even some government reports to get into.
Should be interesting.
Absolutely. By the end of this deep dive, you'll be the BIM expert at your next dinner party.
Or at least understand why it matters, even if you're just building a deck in your backyard.
Exactly. So no hard hats required for this deep dive, just your curiosity.
Oh.
And to help us navigate all this, we've got our expert guide, backed by popular demand, I might add.
Glad to be back. Always fascinating to see how this field is evolving.
So, first things first. Australia and BIM. Paint us a picture. Is everyone down under using holograms and robots to build these days?
Not quite sci-fi just yet, though the tech is getting impressive. It's a bit of a mixed bag, honestly.
How so?
Well, unlike some places, there's no national rule saying you have to use BIM on every project.
So more like a strong suggestion. Hey, this would be a good idea.
Yeah, exactly. But even without that, it's gaining traction, especially on those big infrastructure projects, the ones Australia is known for.
Right, railways, those massive hospitals, airports, that kind of thing.
Exactly. And that's where groups like NatSpec and the ABAB come in.
Okay, hold up. Jargon alert. What are those?
Think of NatSpec as like the rule makers. Yeah. They set the standards for how information's shared on Australian projects.
Got it. And the ABAB?
They're more like the advisors, making sure Australia's BIM game is top-notch and lines up with international standards like ISO 19650.
More acronyms. Why do we even care about some international code? How's that relevant to, say, someone building a house in Sydney?
Because construction's global these days. Materials could come from anywhere. Designers might be on the other side of the world. ISO 19650 is like a universal language, so everyone's on the same page.
Makes sense. Okay, let's talk LOD, level of development. What's the big deal?
Imagine ordering a custom-built house, getting into arguments because big windows meant different things to you and the builder. LOD's like a translator to prevent those expensive misunderstandings.
Okay, now that's a problem anyone can understand. Nobody wants to end up in court over window size.
Exactly. LOD lays out exactly how detailed a building model needs to be at every step. Super important when you're talking about those massive Australian projects, right?
Right. Railways that go on for hundreds of kilometers, complex hospital designs. You can't exactly just wing it on those. You need everyone on the same page right down to the centimeter or even the millimeter, I guess.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what this LOD update is all about. It's been a while since they've done a major one.
Right. It's like, what, a decade?
Yeah, something like that. So this new version is a breath of fresh air for the industry.
So what's new? What's got everyone talking?
They've made it much clearer, more precise, which we've talked about how important that is, right?
Absolutely. Construction's not the time for ambiguity.
Definitely not. So remember those vague instructions we mentioned? This update is like getting rid of all that. Like instead of just saying major openings, they'll give you exact measurements now.
So no more guessing games. Everyone knows exactly what it means.
Exactly. And it's not just dimensions. The requirements for things like interior finishes have also been streamlined. So now it's less about dictating the exact material and more about standardizations like thickness.
I see what you mean. So it doesn't matter if you're using drywall or fancy tiles, the LOD update just cares about the thickness. Makes sense.
Yeah, it just makes life easier for everyone. And what I really like is how user-friendly they made the actual LOD specification document.
Oh, yeah. What'd they do?
Each section is like a checklist now, so it's super easy to track progress and make sure you're meeting all the requirements.
It's like they Marie Kondo-ed the entire LOD specification, decluttered it, and organized everything.
Perfect analogy. They got rid of all the redundant stuff, too, made it much more concise.
No more getting lost in a sea of jargon and repetition. This is a win for everyone. But, okay, how does this revamped LOD update actually translate to those big Australian infrastructure projects?
Well, it's all about collaboration, right? When everyone is working from the same playbook, from day one, there's less room for miscommunication and costly delays. And that's critical in these large-scale projects where, as they say, time is money.
Yeah, time is money and delays equal budget blowouts, so this is good news.
It is. This clarity also has legal implications because now contracts can be more precise.
Oh, that's huge. No more gray areas. Everyone knows where they stand.
Exactly. And that kind of leads us to BIM execution plans, BIM MXPs.
Beam MXPs. Sounds pretty intense.
Think of it as the roadmap for everything BIM related on a project, from design to construction to even managing the building after it's built.
So like a master plan for how BIM will be used across every stage.
That's it. And with this new LOD update, they just got a whole lot more powerful. Now they can be even more detailed.
Like having a GPS for your whole project. But are there any skeptics of all this? I mean, not everyone loves change, right? It's true, not everyone's jumping for joy at the thought of change, especially in construction, right?
Yeah, it's a big industry, lots of moving parts, not always the quickest to adapt.
So what are the hurdles here? What's holding things back?
Well, we've touched on it, but Australia still doesn't have that national mandate saying you have to use BIM.
Right, so it's still up to those groups setting the standards, but not a legal requirement everywhere.
Exactly. And that means it's a bit patchy across the country. Some areas, some firms are all in, others not so much.
I imagine smaller companies might be hesitant. Maybe they're worried about the cost of new software, training, all that.
Sure, and that's understandable. Change
Yeah.
is tough, especially when what you're already doing works.
But for those who do embrace it, there's got to be an advantage, right? Being ahead of the curve.
Oh, absolutely. Those who adapt, especially with this new LOD specification, they're the ones who'll stand out.
Because they can take on bigger projects, more complex designs, that kind of thing.
That, and they'll do it more efficiently. Less wasted time, fewer errors, happier clients in the end.
Makes sense. It's not just about keeping up, it's about setting a new bar for everyone.
Exactly. And think about how much Australia is building right now. Roads, hospitals, the works. BIM can transform all that.
It's like giving the whole construction industry a tech upgrade.
And this isn't just an Australian thing either. This is a global trend we're seeing.
Oh, wow. So Australia's kind of leading the way.
In a lot of ways, yes. And the coolest part, these ideas, this push for clarity, for collaboration, it could apply to other fields too, not just construction.
Now there's a thought. Applying this to like healthcare or manufacturing, the possibilities are huge. Well, on that note, we've reached the end of our deep dive into Australian construction and their big LOD update. We've covered a lot.
We have. From the nitty-gritty of what BIM even is to why this update matters, even if you're not an architect.
It's all about building smarter, more efficiently, and who knows, maybe this is a glimpse into how we'll be designing and building everything in the future.
Exciting times.
Definitely. Until next time, keep those brains building, everyone.